Hi there. Welcome back on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, I hope you're having a great week or weekend, depending on when you're watching this video. Just wanted to dive in a little bit on coachability. You know, we hear much about great coaches, the great football coaches, basketball coaches, soccer, you name it. The list is long, and the list of great coaches is very long as well. And for those folks who have coached at any level, whether it be little kids or up through the organized sports in school, high school, college, and so forth, trying to be a very good or even a great coach is a notable thing. I think you become a great coach. I don't necessarily know if it's a goal that you set out to achieve. There's so much of that that occurs. I think there is a level of you know. Uh, two things meeting opportunity, right? And somebody taking advantage of the opportunity because of their skill sets and the conditions kind of came together. But I think we can't leave off the table coachability. It says a lot to be a very good coach, but it says so much more. It's a world of difference for a team or a group of any size to be coachable. And so it doesn't matter if we're talking about organizations, we're talking about, groups in our culture at large, our actual teams, right? Your own small business, a large business, a corporation of any size, doesn't matter. Coachability is probably the under highlighted thing that really is not addressed. Are we coachable? As an individual, are you coachable? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. Are we coachable? Am I coachable? What does it mean to be coachable? Well, first of all, I have to have the patience to understand that I don't know everything there is to know, right? Which is all of us, really, right? And so I have to have a certain level of humility, but I also have to have a great level of desire or potentially even passion to want to learn something, to want to, take what I wasn't skilled at before and what I didn't know about before and combine these things in a practical environment to demonstrate proficiency and then become good at and then grow from to even become better and great and so forth, depending on what we're talking about, right? So coachability isn't just saying, well, I'm coachable, I'm good, check. Really? Because the coachability comes from a lot of different levels, many different arenas. It could be your education. Well, you may be a person who learned how to learn and you can learn. That's fantastic. We all should learn how to learn, especially when we're talking about intellectual information. Now, we can learn how to do a thing, but not actually have put that into practice or demonstrated a proficiency at doing that. Just because you know how to do it or you've read about it doesn't mean that you're going to be okay at it, much less good or great at it. Okay. Any team will humble somebody who's trying to coach them if the coach thinks they got it figured out, just as somebody who's a coach will also humble somebody who's not coachable. And why is that? Because if you're not coachable and you can't learn a new thing, it's going to become readily apparent that you don't understand or you're not applying yourself or you're not passionate about wanting to become better and so forth, right? That could be cooperation, the teamwork aspect of being on a team of any type within an organizational culture or otherwise. So, coachability is so important. What are some other things that you can think of that apply to being coachable? Besides having some patience, some humility, right? And understanding that we don't know it all, of course, and a desire and a passion to learn, those are very essential. But coachability should also mean that you want to be cooperating with a team for a higher purpose. So the whole point of being coachable is so that the team gets, let's go back to sports. The team gets wins. If the team gets wins, then that's your test of coachability. That's your test. Is the team coachable, right? It's also a test of any leader at any level or combination thereof, say for a management team and that sort of thing, how effective they are they getting wins? Because if there is a failure or a weakness within that level of uh, coachability, right? It isn't just that the leaders coach and the broader team is coachable. No, the leaders have to be coachable. They have to be just as humble and just as open to learning and just as all of that. There has to be no different of an openness to want to progress and get better. So that coachability has to translate throughout the entire team. Doesn't matter who you are on it. But back to what I was saying is there has to be a higher purpose. We want to get wins. It could be sales. It could be production level to serve a certain amount of customers. Now, obviously, that it can translate. All these are interlaced things with sales and so forth. But it could also mean that we don't want a high scrap rate or a high level of waste in our organization. And waste could be just as easily a waste of time. Okay. It doesn't have to be material, although there is a significant level of that as well going on, but a waste of time and resources, right? Hey, we're going through the rubber gloves 3 times faster. And why is that? We don't know. Well, we need to figure that out. Why? It sounds simple, but if that's relative to all the other resources you have, more than likely you have an issue with resource management. Okay. So these are the sort of things that you dive into that a team who's coachable, right, is open to wanting to get wins. And this is the driver that also emotes kind of this force of wanting to get better, reduce the negative things that we're doing, improve the things that we do well, and try to bring in more things that we can continue, to build upon those things that we do well and grow, right? Whether that's individually. Coachability also means that there's somewhere to go in that level of being coached. So, am I developing my team? Right? Am I developing my team? Am I developing myself so that I can also then develop my team? Because if you're not a good coach, say in your organization, then you need to work on getting better at being a better coach, right? Because that will translate to wins for the team, right? And you have to also establish if your team is coachable. There's no way to know if your team is coachable if you aren't an okay coach to begin with. You can start and build upon these things. This is why junior leaders in organizations, we don't want to look down on anybody that's in an organization, but we have to understand they don't have a lot of experience yet. They haven't really built up a momentum and experience to be able to draw upon many different things yet, although they might intellectually, they haven't put it into practice to see results. And it's so easy, far too easy for young leaders, all leaders really, but junior leaders in any organization to just kick people off the team. The firing and the letting go and the laying off and all of that. Far too easy. If you're stuck with that team, right, you don't get rid of people on your family, right? They're on your team and there are going to be things that you go through. And it doesn't matter. Any group could also be a family. Are we coachable, right? Because we might all be informal coaches. You might have somebody who's more of a functional leader and a different, like a coach, from the sense of a person who does a particular skill set. They are the leader in that particular skill doing these particular tasks. They're the leader of that task. If you're a leader and you're going to jump in and try to help out, guess what? They're the leader now. Okay. Are you coachable? Are you coachable? Or is a new person coachable? These are huge questions to ask and should probably be an entrance in part of your interview process. Are you coachable? Highly suggest using that. Are you coachable? And if they say, well, I'm not sure what you mean, well, give me an example where you didn't know something or you were open to learn something and somebody taught you and you were able to pick it up and so forth. It could actually be sports if it's their first job, because maybe that's what they did when they were in school also. I could pick up when I was in the Air Force training new members coming in. I could pick up on their ability to anticipate something that is about to occur or to be able to track something and anticipate. And being in sports, for example, is a good way to determine their ability to anticipate something, to be able to visually anticipate something, right? So this is a huge element in a physical aspect of, say, work, but also visualizing the entire organization. So if you have a leader, can they anticipate that there's a bottleneck up ahead, that there are issues coming up, or they see something that might stand out as a sign or a symptom that the organization is struggling in a particular area? Of course, this takes time to build up that ability to instinctively pick up on some details. They've seen it enough that it's kind of built into the algorithm of their own mind now. So, what would seem intuitive has really just been something that they've developed over the years, and that's a great thing. But that doesn't happen for everybody, and not everybody develops it, nor do they develop it at the same rate. So, it's not always predictable that way. But those are the kind of things that you can ask. It's, give us an example of when you've uh, to show us how you are coachable, and you can kind of lead that with sports or an activity that you've done to be able to determine and anticipate things. I think that's very significant, especially if you're, say, producing a particular product, right? It doesn't mean you can't do it with service, but a product for sure. So, okay, folks, just wanted to touch a little bit on coachability. Remember, hit like, share, and subscribe, and hit that good domino, 3 to 5 times a day or more to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just generally try to help folks out. And when you do that, not only do you transform yourself, but you're transforming culture. And that's a fantastic thing. All right, folks, have a great week. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.